Bulletcast for life. Get up! This is a revolution. This is our time to rise. Look deep within your mind. Look deep into the hate in my eyes. We are the elite, and you are the weak. No matter how hard I fall, I'll get back up on my feet. Red alert, this is gonna hurt. When your face is in the dirt, you'll know your death is what I seek. We are the elite, and you are the weak, and I will always get back up on my feet.
Yo, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Bulletcast. I'm your host, Phillip Antoine, Microphone Messiah. Episode 412, moving a long way. This is going to be one of those spliced in episodes, as you can already tell by the audio change and me not introducing my co-host. But yeah, no, Brendan and Marlee, they'll be sprinkled in throughout the episode, discussing a myriad of things. But the first thing I want to talk about is the Parisi interview. Man, shout out to Josefa Parisi, the product of old school, Knox Pro train, man. In the interview, we talked about his upbringing and how we linked up with Knox and learning from Rikishi and Gangrel and Reno Hawaii. And just training with Jacob and everything that Jake's doing now in WWE, and then him coming over to Oasis and becoming a coach, and just his experience with that. It's a lot of good stuff in this interview, man. The interview's about 25 minutes, I think. A lot of cuts because there was a lot of laughter and boys being boys, if you will. But yeah, man. Thank you to Josefa. Very, very proud of the interview. Last one of the year. But I'm hoping to speak to him again down the road. I mean, I'd see him at least twice a week, but I'm saying this on record, on camera, speak to him down the road to see where he is in life in about a year or two. So, we'll see what's up. But I'm going to throw it over to Brandon and Marlee so they can give their thoughts on my interview with Josefa Parisi.
What is up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Tanguma here for the Bulletcast, popping in and out to give you my thoughts on the world of professional wrestling. First, going to talk about that Parisi interview that Phillip just did. Once again, the cinematography was okay. Could have been a little bit better if somebody else was there, but I digress. But no, I mean, seriously, it was a fun time interview. If you haven't, go check it out. Parisi is definitely someone that I am aware of. Don't know too much about. I've seen him a few times here and there on the indie scene, and he does have a really good backstory. He's got links to Idaho. Your boy's been to Idaho one time. Beautiful state. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. And he goes through his life and his career of professional wrestling and all that other good fun stuff. Some fun little stories about Rikishi, Brian Christopher, and the Knox Pro contingent down there in LA and his time in Oasis being a teacher there. And Knox Pro's definitely been in the news now with their ties to WWE, obviously with Rikishi, the Usos, and all those folks. So if you haven't, go check out that interview. I will give Phillip a pass that he didn't ask the hot tub time machine question. It's the last interview of the year, I believe. And, 2025, he's saying he's going to do more interviews. So hopefully we get more hot tub time machine questions in 2025.
I enjoyed the interview with Parisi. I thought it was really good. There were a few parts that stood out to me, mainly because I just didn't know these things. But I knew that he trained at Knox, but I didn't know how deeply involved he was. I didn't know that he got to travel to all these different states and even wrestle in Guam, because I didn't even think wrestling was a thing all the way out there. But you learn something new every day, and I feel like that's something that applies to what he said. When you have to be able to adapt, you have to be able to learn, you have to be able to be coachable, because they tell us all the time, this business is not easy, so you have to be able to roll with the punches and go with the flow and be flexible, because a show can be advertised one way, and by the time show day comes and you're sitting in the seats or you're helping out, it could be a completely different show than what was advertised initially. So you have to be able to be flexible, be teachable, be coachable, because you're not always right. And one final thing I wanted to add was there was a part where he talked about how he was learning and growing, not just as a coach, but as a person. And I can attest to that, not just with Parisi, but the rest of the coaches. The Parisi that I initially met is completely different from the Parisi that I know now. And I mean that in a good way because I've seen that growth. Not not just Parisi, but in the rest of the coaches, but from student to coach and person to person, that growth is very, very noticeable. And yeah, I'm just proud to call Parisi a coach. I'm proud to call Juice, Journey my coaches. I'm proud to call Oasis home, and I'm proud to call Oasis family. And it really all can is it's really all because of them and the students. So there's a solid group of people there.
All right, thank you guys for that. And Brandon, I'm sorry that the cinematography wasn't up to your standing. Yeah, you should have been there. Jesus. No, but let's move on. Outside the ring, SmackDown is going to be moved to 3 hours. You know, that's been the rumor for quite some time, but it is officially going to be moved to 3 hours. Hey man, that's more opportunities for talent to get on TV. I mean, we can have, certain people really shine and show what they can truly do. I mean, with 2 hours, obviously that's less time and everything, and just the way like certain things work with timing of matches and entrances and commercial breaks and all that. I mean, there's certain people that are going to be able to get to have like 2 seg matches. Like, okay, let's see like what Chelsea Green can do with this women's U.S. title in a 2 seg match, and other people and so on and so forth. So it's an opportunity for more screen time to work. But the roster, they have a pretty damn good roster over there, obviously with the whole bloodline thing, and then their women's division is much better than the Raw women's division, we can say. Because I mean, when you look at the SmackDown's women's division, you think, all right, Bianca, Jade when she comes back, there's Naomi, there's Nia, there's Tiffany, Chelsea, and Michin, and on Raw, obviously, you're just going to go straight to Liv and Rhea. I mean, there are other women on there, obviously, with the women's IC title tournament, but just those are the 2 mains that you think about because, like Becky's not around, Charlotte's not around, Bayley's on SmackDown. Yeah, just things like that. But SmackDown going to 3 hours, very, very excited for that. Maxine Dupree and NXT star Anthony Luke have gotten engaged, so congrats to the happy couple. And then Dustin Rhodes, I believe he's one half of the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions, or he's a part of the 6-man tag champs, one of the 2 titles. He has signed a new deal with AEW, so he's going to be sticking around there for a little longer. Congrats to him. Congrats to him. Yeah, I mean, he came in, he was there for obviously the first show, Double or Nothing, 2019 in Vegas, and, he hasn't left since. I mean, I believe there were thoughts of people thought, oh, maybe he'll leave and he'll come back to WWE and, help out his brother, I think we could have saw something pretty cool if Dustin had come back. We could have got like the Rhodes brothers going up against, whatever incarnation of the bloodline you want to do, whether it's God versus the Rhodes or Solo and Jacob versus the Rhodes, just stuff like that could have been cool. But nonetheless, congrats to Dustin, man. I know he's doing a lot of work over there. I believe he works with the women in the ring and stuff like that. So he's doing some good work over there, and he's happy. So that's the most important part in this business, man. If you're happy, do what makes you happy. All right, I'm gonna go over to SmackDown. Not too much I want to talk about on SmackDown except for the Solo Sikoa and Drew McIntyre segment of it. So Solo Sikoa was out there, talking about Tribal Combat for January 6th. I don't know if you guys know this, but Monday Night Raw is moving to Netflix on January 6th. That's January 6th. Yes. Intuit Dome, Los Angeles, California. So let's talk about Tribal Combat. Like, you leave your troops at home, I leave my troops at home. You can talk all the trash you want on your little boat. thought that was funny. But yeah, he's just hyping up the Tribal Combat match for the Ulafala, who will be the one and only tribal chief, telling these fans to acknowledge him. Drew McIntyre comes out there, and Drew's like, I don't know whether to kick your head off your shoulders or what. He talks about how Sammy and the Usos, once Roman snapped his fingers, they all went running back to him after the terrible things that he did to all of them. But Solo was the one that, stood up to him, actually had the balls to stand up to him, and that makes Drew respect him a little bit. or hold off on his attack. Basically, what this is, and I guess Drew McIntyre said something. I was listening to Wednesday Worldwide from The Ringer. Shout out Ben Cruz and everybody over there. But yeah, they were saying that they interviewed Drew McIntyre like I think WrestleMania Hollywood 39. He was challenging for the IC title, and he said something about the bloodline and everything like it. He's gonna get his get back, and that was well over a year ago, almost 2 years ago now. And here we are. He's become the bloodline hunter. And he's going down the list, but I guess he and Solo have made a deal that he's going to take care of all the other ones, and then Solo will be last. I mean, Solo versus Drew is a very interesting matchup, given they're both heels, and especially the dynamic and the direction that Drew's character has taken in this current status. I'm very interested to see Solo versus Drew, what that match looks like. But I mean, just for them to kind of be on the same page, to have this agreement, to take care of their enemies, and then they'll deal with each other when the time comes. I think that's a very, very smart move. Now we're gonna throw it over to Marlee as she gives her thoughts about Friday Night SmackDown.
Friday SmackDown was good. I enjoyed the segment with Solo that led into Jimmy's attack on Drew McIntyre. I'm really excited for the Raw on Netflix premiere, and I feel like this kind of upped the ante, up the stakes going into this premiere. There was a 6-man tag, which was interrupted by Shinsuke Nakamura, which led to the Bloodline getting a win. Kevin Owens having a little promo where he says it's not his fault when it came to attacking Cody Rhodes, which he might be justified in this. I feel like I said this last week, that he's kind of justified in his actions. Braun Strowman versus Carmelo Hayes. Braun Strowman threw a light up palm tree at Carmelo Hayes, was led to their match, and Carmelo got the victory, which I thought was good because I feel like he, outside of the Andrade feud, I feel like that's really been his only big feud on the main roster. But I like this little program he's doing with Braun. I feel like it's nice showcasing him and what he can do, because he really impressed me when he was down in NXT. Then we had Johnny Gargano versus Alex Shelley, which Gargano came up on that one. Then Bianca and Naomi versus Nia and Candice. And it was a solid episode of SmackDown, your typical Friday night.
All right, inside the ring, not a lot to talk about. First things up, Omos is going to be going over to Pro Wrestling Noah. I'm not sure exactly when that date is, but hey, Omos and Noah, I love it. I love it. I'm a Homo sapien. I think the term homosexuals was coined at some point in time. I saw that on Twitter. I believe I said that once on the show when I was really on my Omos kick. But yeah, Omos and Noah, that's going to be something special to see. Can't wait to see the footage of it when it happens. And then Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena. Don't know if you guys knew that. It's the world's most famous arena, MSG. Hello. Yeah, they're going to be hosting Monday Night Raw on March 10th, 2025. MSG, they always hold the WWE Holiday Tour. It's always the day after Christmas. You saw things like CM Punk running out in a towel and a shower cap to save Damian Priest in a steel cage match. So you'll see crazy little goofy things like that. Nice little tidbits. Good fun stuff. Good fun stuff. But yeah, MSG Raw, March 10th, 2025. If you're in the New York area, tri-state area, get your tickets. Pull up over there. All right, let's get into the Raw recap, ladies and gentlemen. So, Sammy and Drew have a promo. Drew talks about, what he's going to do to the members of the Bloodline. And then Sammy comes out there and is like, man, I get why you're frustrated. You fight. And then some things just don't go your way. Talks about how Drew's been fighting for like 17, 18 years. I think Sammy said, I got 22 years in the game. I understand that fight, that frustration. And, it just doesn't, what am I trying to say? Drew, just doesn't want to hear it. There we go. He just doesn't want to hear it. and it leads to a match later on in the night. Drew McIntyre gets the dub over Sami Zayn, and then I'm sorry, during the promo segment, you had Jey Uso come out there, and Sami and Jey both clothesline Drew over the top rope, leads to the match. Drew gets the dub ski, and the bloodline come to help out Drew, and they leave Sami Zayn and Jey Uso just lying there. So good stuff, good stuff. Obviously, just get the bloodline on Raw, so you probably will be used to seeing them on Monday Night Raw as Raw moves to Netflix on January 6th. Like I said earlier in the show, don't know if you know this, Monday Night Raw, January 6th on Netflix. They're gonna bring us things like we've never seen before. At least that's what Hunter said. And then Kofi Kingston's mom walks out. So the New Day, they're doing some really great work, not being allowed in the locker room. I've heard people say maybe they, in the transfer portal or window or whatever, they go over to SmackDown and not allowed in that locker room either. And then I heard on with the Ringer, they said they go to NXT and the same thing happens. I think if they were to go to NXT, they would just run that locker room. That's just me. But yeah. Kofi talks about, it's supposed to be a homecoming for me, and you guys are booing me in front of my mom. He wants to hug his mom and get her over the guardrail, I guess, so they can go to the back. His mom's like, no, I'm not having it. Like, you're acting out. You should be ashamed of yourself for what you did to your friend. And big pop for Mama Kingston walking out on her baby boy. So that was good, fun stuff. I'm going to throw it over to Marlee as she can talk about Monday Night Raw, WWE's flagship show.
I enjoyed Raw this week. I really enjoyed the opening segment between Drew and Sami. I am noticing a little chemistry between them in terms of the in-ring and also the back and forth on the mic, because Sami on the mic is always going to deliver, and Drew is also going to have his clapbacks, but it's his facial reactions when he's being talked to that I think kind of make the back and forth, whether it's with Sami, whether it's with Punk, whether it's with anyone in the bloodline. His facial expressions show all. That's what I kind of noticed in Drew McIntyre, but it led to an interference from Jey Uso, setting up Sami and Drew for later in the night. In-ring chemistry, again, solid. Really enjoyed it. This little side feud that they're doing, I hope they don't drag it out too far, but with Drew going after the bloodline, I hope they get a little trilogy in there. I feel like there's more that they can do in ring together. Io Sky advanced in the Intercontinental Women's Title Tournament, and I feel like she's my pick to win, because if she can't get the women's title, I feel like she's a solid contender for the Women's Intercontinental title. Chad Gable getting confronted by Otis after attacking Akira Tozawa after the match. What's the word I'm looking for? Dismantling of Alpha Academy leading into American Alpha. I didn't think it was going to drag on this long. I thought with the formation of American Alpha, the issues between Alpha Academy and American Alpha would end, but, here we are. Damian Priest and the War Raiders. War Raiders coming to the aid of Damian Priest during the Judgment Day. I don't actually remember what match it was, but all I remember was Damian pulled JD out of the crowd while he was dressed like Santa, which was something. And then Kofi Kingston's mom just walked off, disappointed in her son. That was wild. That shows the magnitude of the consequences of the New Day's actions against Big E. To the point where Kofi's mom even has to walk away. That was an intense moment.
All right, guys. Thank you to Marlee for that. Listen, Brandon didn't do separate takes for SmackDown and Raw, so we're gonna go to Brandon's WWE takes for the week.
What's up, y'all? I'm back to do a recap. Not going to do a SmackDown and a Raw recap just because both the shows weren't really noteworthy, I would say, with both of them being tape shows before Christmas. Both were solid shows, nothing big to write home about, I would say, but we'll kind of skim through and kind of go over some of the things that happened on SmackDown and Raw heading into the week. First, we have SmackDown. Solo Sikoa and Drew McIntyre had an interaction, and I think Solo continues to grow on the mic, and I think he's kind of found his lane as a character, not going too much into like the big boss type, but also not leaning too much into the comedy aspect that I think he kind of leaned a little bit into a couple months back. So I think he's kind of found like that middle ground of like the heel that you can take seriously, but also, kind of has a little bit of character to him, a little fun-loving side, but also a serious side as well. And him and the Drew McIntyre interaction, the bloodline interaction, is interesting because despite Drew, outright naming the baby faces for the most part and the people he have issues with, he should still have like big issues with Solo Sikoa because Solo was a part of the original bloodline, but right now, Drew's issues are with Sammy, Jay, Jimmy, and Roman. So, and you're not going to get anything out of a Drew Solo feud right now. So, just kind of establishing that. Nothing too much. Then, we continue on. LA Knight teamed with Apollo Crews and Andrade to take on the Bloodline. This was a very long match. It was, solid in terms of the action in the ring, but nothing of consequence. Giving Solo and giving the Bloodline a win puts them over, gives a little heat to them, especially with the Bloodline match or whatever, the tribal warfare that's going to take place on Netflix in a couple weeks. So, this is kind of the par for the course with these tape shows, especially, the second show in a back-to-back with them trying to fill some TV time and fill some ring time with some people who maybe didn't wrestle on that first show and kind of elongate it because you're not going to want to have some of the other names that were on that first SmackDown that they taped on the second show. So having them kind of, have a damn near half-hour show. Did a half-hour match to make some sense. We had another match that was really lengthy in Johnny Gargano and Alex Shelley. Solid match. They had the backstory. And I think heel DIY has been very good, and Motor City Machine Guns have been very good at baby faces, playing off of them in the backstage interviews and kind of the promos they've been doing. I think has been good as well. We also had speaking of the tag team division, let's move to the women's tag team division with Naomi and Bianca. They had their tag team match taken on against Candice LeRae and Nia Jax. The match was okay. Nia got busted open pretty badly on a move where she is just supposed to headbutt the corner post, standing on top of the ropes, and she busted her head open. I don't know how she did that way, but she did. So the Naomi and Bianca hold on to the titles. Makes sense. They continue on with the whole Tiffany Stratton, Candice LeRae, Naomi or Nia Jax kind of thruple, whatever the case may be. I mean, I'm a big fan of Candice LeRae. Love her from the indie scene. I don't know what they're trying to make her do. Like, her acting is just so over the top, and it's like just so like mean girly. And they're kind of doing the old Seth Rollins babyface turn of Tiffany's not really changing much in her character, but she's kind of turning babyface because the crowd kind of likes her, and also the heels are just being more mean to her. So it's not like Tiffany is seeing the error of her ways and distancing herself from the bad people that Nia Jax and Candice LeRae are. She's just not, the mean people are distancing themselves from her, which I don't think it's ever like the most I don't think that's ever the best way for someone to turn babyface. And you've even seen it. Like, Tiffany has been much harder in the past. Like I don't think people like her, people are cheering for her, but I don't think they're like clamoring for Tiffany to like break away from Candice and Nia Jax. Some other stuff on SmackDown. I mean, we had the Grayson Waller effect with Braun and Carmelo Hayes and all those people. It was nothing. So yeah, that was SmackDown. Moving over to Raw, it opened up with Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn having a promo. And I thought this was really good stuff. It was just kind of continuing on with the story that they've told of Sami and Drew. And, kind of like just having a human interaction. Who would have seen that coming? Wrestlers having like human conversation in the ring. And, Sami kind of going back and talking about Drew and all of his faults, and Drew talking about Sami's faults, and, how, they might not be perfect, but, blah, blah, blah. And how Drew kind of, takes things to the next level. Really strong opening segment. Honestly, probably one of the better things of Raw and SmackDown, especially on these tape shows. Then we had the Women's Intercontinental Championship tournament continue. Io Sky fills in for Kairi Sane. She ends up winning the match over Alba Fire and Natalya. It was a fine match for what it was. They continue with the bickering between Liv Morgan and Finn. So obviously they're teasing a breakup of the Judgment Day. I don't know how that's going to go. I don't see a clear babyface side on either side, so I hope they don't like feud at the end of this. I mean, I don't know who they're going to feud with, because it's like two women and Dominic taking on at least JD and Finn, and Carlito's kind of caught in the middle. So moving right along, Chad Gable destroys Tozawa, sets up a Otis and Chad Gable match. Despite the breakup happening like quite a ways away, they never really did fully capitalize on the Otis Chad Gable feud. So I kind of wonder what the whole point of that was, and it seems like they're going back to it, but I think the momentum and kind of the little magic that they had is kind of lost now at this point. Damian Priest beats Dominic Mysterio. We had the Seth Rollins sit down with Jackie Redmond to kind of counteract the CM Punk one that happened last week. Another well done backstage interview. I think WWE does these really well, with the sports-like sit-down interview, kind of very UFC-like with these segments. So, it sets up the big angle, or whatever the case may be, for next week's Raw, heading into the Netflix debut. Dexter Lumis beats The Miz via DQ. We got the alleged vignette of Penta Miedo happening again. We got the New Day cutting kind of their first real in-ring heel promo, and I thought this was a great segment. Once again, New Day kind of bickering and kind of yelling at the crowd. I was like, what do we do? Blah, blah, blah. I could have done without the Kofi Kingston mom spot. Like, it kind of gets a reaction, but I also think it's kind of like too cute by half. So you're telling me, the Big E angle happened like what, 2-3 weeks ago now at this point, and the mom gets on a flight from Ghana, allegedly, flies to Boston, sits down in the front row, and then that's when she decides to like turn her back on her son. Like, why? It just kind of seemed like a good idea, but also just kind of seemed a little too fake for my liking. But I think everything else leading up to the mom angle was well done from the New Day. They are really milking this. Now, I think it might get a little old soon, especially with the crowd sweetening. I think they need to tone that down. Like, you can see, like, they have the crowd noise turned up to 11, and you see the people in the crowd. Like, they are reacting, but it's, not whatever, pick your cliche, 1970s, it's still real to me, damn it, crowd, and just going crazy, booing the hell out of Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. But anyways, then we had the Drew McIntyre Sami Zayn match to main event and close out the show. Drew McIntyre wins in 14:42. Another solid match from these two guys, and Drew McIntyre once again wins strong, wins clean, building him up. And, I wonder what the end result of this is. Maybe just kind of setting him up for a strong Royal Rumble showing, Royal Rumble match. I don't know. So I think they've done a really good job reintroducing Drew McIntyre. pushing him heavy since his return. And they, so we also had, well, I wouldn't say he went clean. I kind of forget exactly what happened, but we got the bloodline attack Jay and, all the other stuff. So we're kind of setting up, we are setting up the Netflix show on January 6th, but also possibly Drew and Solo and the bloodline and whatever the hell they may be doing, maybe going up against the OG bloodline. So, solid 2 episodes. I definitely would say Raw was the stronger show compared to SmackDown. And I think that's just the case of Raw is building to the Netflix show, while SmackDown is kind of spinning their wheels right now. And they are also building the Netflix show to a little extent. So, back to our regularly scheduled shows coming up, I guess, when you're listening to this today on Friday with the live SmackDown, and then the go home last ever, little bittersweet last ever Raw on the USA Network. Hate to see it. Just hell of a time, hell of a run over there on the USA Network, and it is coming to an end, probably for good, with the Netflix deal possibly lasting up to 20 years. And 20 years from now, who knows how the entertainment landscape will pan out. But that's it for my WWE thoughts. Going to throw it back to Phillip, and I'll come back with my AEW World's End pay-per-view preview.
All right, Brandon, thank you very much. Now we're going to listen to Brandon as he discusses AEW World's End and everything in between.
Your boy's back for the third and final time to preview the AEW World's End pay-per-view. I know, someone's got to do it, and I'm going to step up to the plate. I'm the AEW guy around here. We did have an AEW Dynamite from the Hammerstein Ballroom, taped on Sunday, aired on Christmas Day on Wednesday. As of right now, we have 8 matches announced for World's End, which, I mean, let's be honest, we're probably going to get like 3 or 4 pre-show matches advertised for or announced on Rampage. But let's just run down the card as is. So we do have the Continental Classic coming to an end with Will Ospreay taking on Kyle Fletcher on one side and Kazuchika Okada and Ricochet on the other side. Now, this kind of sets up an interesting finale. I think either which way you shake it, the match could be really good. I think the least likely outcome is Kyle Fletcher taking on Ricochet, but outside of that, I could see any of the other matchups taking place. Obviously Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher had that match at Full Gear, and Fletcher won clean as a sheet. So I wonder if Ospreay is going to get his win back here, or if they continue to put Kyle Fletcher over strong and he beats Ospreay again. I doubt it. I think Ospreay gets the win here, and then I don't know. This is why I wish they had the Continental Classic, actually have legit wrestlers throughout the entire thing instead of just having, Commander and Black Taurus or whatever his name is now, I forget. But just low level guys that aren't going to win this whole thing. But then once you get to the nitty gritty, you get to these matches, the Darby Allin matches. It sets up some intrigue, and I think this is where we get to. My official prediction, I will say Ospreay takes on Okada. No, I'm going to say Ospreay takes on Ricochet. No, God damn it. It's like every which way I just kind of hem and haw, and I don't know, because they definitely are doing something with Ricochet. I wouldn't be shocked if something happens with Swerve, because Swerve is not on the card at all, which is a little perplexing. And they're setting up and doing something with Ricochet and Swerve. So, officially, I will go with Will Ospreay taking on Okada and Okada retaining the Continental Classic. I'm going to get that wrong, but who cares? Then we got a singles match for the Dynamite Diamond Ring, because I guess we still care about this thing. Adam Cole and MJF. Maybe this sets up an angle. Maybe it's just a straight up wrestling match. Who knows? I really don't care. I mean, I want this MJF Adam Cole thing to be over. They have just like completely ignored the whole devil storyline. It's like, oh, you were going to turn on me first, so I turned on you first. That's Adam Cole's reasoning behind the whole thing. And it's just a complete mess. I think both these guys' stocks have fallen dramatically. That being said, I mean, I still would take MJF like as a guy on the roster, but yeah, I mean, me saying I'd take MJF as a guy on the roster from where he was 2-3 years ago, or even last year, definitely kind of shows how much he's fallen out in my good graces thus far. Honestly, I think I would have Adam Cole win, and you just have him destroy the ring. Like, I get it. It's like his MJF's thing, but like at this point, he's done it for 4 years in a row now. Can we just end this thing? I don't care about it. I don't think anyone really cares about it. Like, it'd be fine if it was just his thing and he held the ring forever, but like having this match at the end of the year that like no one cares about, just end it, please. We got Konosuke Takeshita taking on Powerhouse Hobbs for the international title. I think Takeshita just wins this year. This has kind of been a Collision staple, kind of Collision storyline. Good for Hobbs that he came back. I still have faith and hope and wish and desire for Takeshita to do more in AEW. And like, yeah, he has a trinket, he has a title, but I think he definitely could do more than just kind of parade that thing around. So give me Takeshita in this one. Then we got 2 women's matches. Shocker, both title matches. We get Mercedes Moné taking on Chris Statlander for the TBS title. Last time they had a really solid match. I think they're going to try to top it. Hopefully they don't get too overly ambitious and go longer than their other match, which was over 20 minutes, or like right at that 20-minute mark. I think Mercedes wins again. It's because she is wrestling at the Wrestle Dynasty, Wrestle something, whatever, the co-show that they're doing on January 5th. So I think Mercedes wins, and we move on to do whatever the hell else they're going to do. Then we get the Women's World Title match, a Tijuana street fight between Mariah May defending against Thunder Rosa. This match will be really fun. I fully expect Mariah May to get the win here. Toni Storm kind of lurking around in the background with that Australia show coming up in the next month or two. I definitely would think they're going to run that back with Mariah May and Toni Storm. Maybe they kind of fully flesh out or almost flesh out the Toni Storm amnesia, whatever she's doing storyline with Mariah May, because it makes total sense for Mariah May and Toni Storm to interact, and kind of Toni to kind of be so happy that Toni Storm is here, or that Mariah May is here. She's like, oh my God, I've been watching you from the background or whatever, and just kind of completely no-selling what's gone on, which, that's what's going to happen. It's just kind of how they're going to go along with it and how Mariah May is going to react to it. So I think Mariah wins. Yeah. And also going back to, now that I've kind of gone through the whole card, it does make sense, I think, for Adam Cole to win the ring here, because AEW does like doing at least one title switch on their pay-per-views and kind of going through it. I mean, outside of Powerhouse Hobbs beating Takeshita, I don't see anybody else winning the title here in their match, or a title change happening in their match. Then, spoiler alert, I guess I just kind of spoiled my prediction here with the 4-way title match with Jon Moxley defending his AEW title against Orange Cassidy, Hangman Adam Page, and Jay White. They've been telling the story of, the story is kind of ass backwards, if you ask me, of the heel Jon Moxley challenging all 3 of the challengers. I wouldn't say baby faces, because who knows what Adam Page is at this point, to this match. Jay White is kind of a babyface, but then he hasn't really changed or turned. And he's not exactly a hot babyface either. So kind of what I said back with Tiffany, obviously not the same exact type of turn, but like Jay just kind of turned because he's going up against a heel now, instead of like having like a full-fledged story change or, character shift to determine why he's doing this. And then Orange Cassidy, he's just kind of there. Hangman Page, I still think Page has something. Like, he comes out, he has like that wild-eyed look in his face, and the crowd pops for him. I still think there's something there. I know they've kind of ran the ball with him a couple times and it didn't exactly pan out, but I think he's still like a solid guy that you can go with, like in the top of the card, maybe flirt with the title in the main event scene. So I fully expect Jon Moxley to win here. Still kind of waiting for that next shoe to drop to kind of really understand what is going on with this, because Moxley continues to kind of talk in platitudes and talk in circles, and we don't exactly know what's going on and if there's like something's going to happen. I predicted this at the end of the Full Gear that they were going to do some sort of big angle. Maybe they do a big angle here at World's End, but I'm not going to hold my breath on that front. So that is it for my Full Gear preview. Obviously, as I said, nothing too crazy here. I will say I'm a little happy that I did the 2-for-1 purchase on Thriller TV, where technically this show was only $15 bucks, $25. I don't know. I can't do math. Math is hard. I saved $15. That's what it was. So I paid $35 for this show. But yeah, that is going to do it for me. Back over to Phillip. Hope you guys had a very Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever, Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate. Hopefully, maybe you just had like a good day off of work and have a very happy and safe New Year's. And we'll be back here to talk wrestling next week. Love y'all.
All right, thank you, Brandon. Ladies and gentlemen, this Saturday, Oasis Pro presents its final show of the year. We active. Let's go get active, man. We got a lot of great stuff. You'll see Illuminate, Nick Xander, Vinny Massaro will be in action, Dom Sirius, Kenny K, THC, the South Pacific Santas, SPS, they'll be in action. Also, Melanin Mafia press conference hosted by In the Click's own and 1077 The Bones, Baby Huey will be in attendance for this at the Gilman Brewery, 7 p.m., December 28th. Tickets available at the door. Beer, pizza, a great time. Come celebrate the holiday season. Come celebrate the last show of the year with Oasis Pro. You know we do it big, and we got some big things planned for 2025. All right, ladies and gentlemen, next week it will be the awards, the Casties. They're back as our last show of the year next week. Tune in. You don't want to miss it. Find out who is the breakout star of the year, the tag team of the year, the heel turn of the year, the male and female superstars, wrestlers of the year. You don't want to miss it. Thank you guys. As always, be safe and stay dangerous. Yes, sir.
This is a revolution. This is our time to rise. Look deep within your mind. Look deep into the hate in my eyes. We are the elite, and you are the weak. No matter how hard I fall, I'll get back up on my feet. Red alert, this is gonna hurt. When your face is in the dirt,